Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is your friend Ursie, and let's play with more galactic fun stuff if you want. I went and got my butterfly pashmina, and I'm feeling pretty much like let's take off. Let's work through our going from the caterpillar to the chrysalis, now to the butterflying stage. So much of that transformation and the big shift from 2012 for me is about this butterfly and us awakening into our galactic consciousness. So I just couldn't get enough of the Galactic Center and the Milky Way. So I've created, let's see, some enhanced images. Here we are. I wrote out navigating within our galactic consciousness, very much like I said with the butterfly. My goodness. We wake up one day and we realize we are a part of it all. So I want to share some insights to help you and support your journey as you learn how to navigate not just in our earthbound consciousness of heavily polarized time that we're in, and instead consider the other option, and that is to look up and embrace, like, what are the patterns of this type of polarized nature? How can I optimize this wave of up and then down? How to find the center point? So, some of that I think is going to come from learning about how to expand our conscious awareness to include the galactic. Okay, now look at this. Look at this image. You just have to Google Milky Way or the Galactic Center, and you're going to find some amazingly beautiful, probably enhanced by Photoshop, but the base of it truly is, I believe, coming from the known heavens. Look at this beautiful Milky Way. And at the very center of the Milky Way galaxy, which is this gorgeous, spiralic, toroidal even vortex of energy, swirling and swirling in the heavens, at its very center, yes, is a black hole called the Galactic Center. Now, you may have seen my earlier video. This is like a part 2, and this is the National Geographic image that takes that same beautiful image of the Milky Way, and it shows us you are here. Earth is here. You follow that little blue line, and there's a dot in there, and there's probably another dot for our sun, but we're part of this whole expanse. Boy, it is so awe-inspiring to see that, yes, we are a part of it all. Here's again that gorgeous Milky Way. I think I've shared before that this whole idea of it appearing like a river or road of milk. When the ancients would look up into the heavens, fireside chats would probably include a lot of the common lore of we're from the stars, we'll return to the stars, and we return by navigating our solar arc or a boat, if we're lucky enough, to go back home and ride into the Milky Way River or the path of the Milky Way. Here's another scientific layer of taking the Milky Way galaxy and showing us where the arms are as a spiral outward from the center. It's kind of a very fascinating visual for me because it takes the mental desire to know what's where and it puts it atop something so incredibly organic and awe-inspiring, that beautiful shape of the Milky Way galaxy. If you hadn't heard the previous mention, yes, in the times of the Romans, they would call the Milky Way galaxy Via Lactea. And having just come back from Italy, yes, Via Lactea. Do you have almond milk? It's the road of milk. Imagine that, looking up in the heavens. Okay, here's something new. I just love studying about ancient Egyptian lore and mythology. I mean, in the time of the pharaohs, this was just assumed that the king was connected to God, Ra. So the ancient Egyptians truly believed that the sun god, Ra, isn't that interesting? Ra or Ray, like ray of light. He navigated the sky and the underworld. You could say the cosmos above and below in what's called a solar boat or the solar arc. And right below me is this beautiful picture with hieroglyphs of this image of traveling on that solar arc. So when you passed from life into death, into the next world, a boat would come for you, right? And so there's this idea too that, well, in some of the king's tombs, we found some boats completely intact. So if you were lucky enough to become a member of the crew of a solar boat, you too could sail with Ra into eternity within the company of the gods. Wow. Wow. I'm not going to mention the mummification, but it's just this idea of traveling the Milky Way, the solar arc. And here it comes, that Milky Way. I wanted to remind us again and remind myself of this beautiful spiralic nature of this sacred geometry shape that the Milky Way galaxy creates. It is just, you see the spiral in some of the indigenous people's work. You see it in the early Irish, in the early days, in various indigenous communities. And it's as if as above, so below. But we're not really even above or below. We're part of it, right? We're part of this whole amazing Milky Way galaxy. And then I had shared this before, but look at this. When you zoom in on the Milky Way and try and find its center, the X-ray close-up just shows a bunch of dust and it's very blurry. So I dug a little deeper in when talking about the Galactic Center. It's like, who will help us take a picture of that Galactic Center? So, well, here's one very stylized image of the Galactic Center. The astronomers have called it Sagittarius A. And if you really want to impress someone, you could say SagrA star. SagrA star, yes, the Galactic Center is SagrA star. And you could really impress your friends by saying, oh, and did you know 26,000 light years away from Earth? There's a very interesting thought that I had when I saw that 26,000 light years. It reminded me of like this idea of the time clock for the Mayans. You know, it's relatively like, wow, why do certain numbers show up? Is it possible? Because this 26,000 light years, I believe, is a hypothesis. No one's really traveled. They can gauge and surmise, but something about time and the Mayan calendar and these cycles of time, and then talking about how many light years the galactic center is away from Earth, or Earth is away from the center, because this is the big, super massive black hole. And don't be afraid, it's just part of who we are. Look, I zoomed in a little bit more. You can be here in when you meditate into the void of pure potential. This perhaps might be where you're going. Okay, so again, just reminding us that, wow, look, how big is that galactic center? Imagine 14.6 million with an M, million miles in diameter, and 4.3 million masses of our sun. So you take our sun and put 4.3 million in them. But here's where I wanted to go a little deeper in this second talk about the galactic center. I'm just like shocked. Like, who came up with this idea of how to photograph the massive black hole? And did you know, because I didn't know, there's a lot of black holes running around in our universe and metaverse. So they started with the biggest one. And guess what? They didn't choose to start with the Galactic Center. They actually chose to start with something called M87, Messier Object 87 in the Virgo constellation. Did you know? But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me tell you first a little bit about the Event Horizon Telescope. Because on May 12th, 2022 of this year, look at the image they were able to composite, to bring together. They're working with 300 researchers, 80 institutes from around the globe. But what they do is they connect 8 radio observatories. I imagine them saying, hey, it's clear over here. How about you guys? Is a lot of space dust? Can you see it from your lens? So imagine here's Earth, right? And so you've got 8 radio observatories. And we're trying to focus and do a virtual single telescope, but it's not concrete. It's not a real one telescope. It's a composite of 8 radio telescopes coming together. Why? Because there's such fast moving space dust. It's not just that there's a whole bunch of gas and debris and dust around the center, but that it's moving because of the gravitational pull. It's like, okay, well, we just saw Hurricane Ian. We'll multiply that probably to the 100x factor or beyond. I just pulled that number out, but just imagine it being so much more ridiculously high. Okay, now if any of you are science buffs, I am not, but I was intrigued as a visual artist to look at these images that came through the Event Horizon Telescope. So it's looking at, again, this tells me how they try and move together to find a composite or a baseline to capture an image that is really a composite. Okay, because again, when they first started looking, they couldn't really prove that there was a black hole in the center, right? They could see lots of stuff that indicated the strong likelihood, but they couldn't prove exactly. They didn't have an actual image. So show me the proof. And I included, here's the Event Horizon Telescope's logo, and this image was captured by J.Y. Kim. Okay. Now, I know there's a lot of information here and there's this blaring light coming at you, but here, maybe I'll just should I put my face over here? Takes away a little bit of the light. Here, I'll just move myself here. What's going on here is this is Messier Object 87. What's an M87? First of all, you got to know back in the day, this guy named Charles Messier, he decided to start calling out and numbering these objects that weren't a comet. So this is where we're going to get this whole reference guide to all these objects. Hopefully they'll call them something different in the future. But anyway, I don't want to digress too much. The Event Horizon Telescope, huge, 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 but think of it as a global network of trying to create a one Earth telescope, but using 8 different lenses. Okay. So what I understand is they first tried to capture in 2017 these images, which then by 2019, they could come up with a composite image of the first supermassive black hole that they were tracking, M87. So you can call it, you can, again, really let your friends know it's M87 star. Yes, M87 star in Virgo constellation. Did you know? The second one that they did, and then this year, 2022, I just showed you that image of the Galactic Center, Sagittarius A, but they call it either Sagittarius A star, or I've even read that it's called SagrA star. SagrA star. Yes, the center of the Milky Way. Did you know? So here we go, the Event Horizon Telescope. If we're talking about the galactic, take a moment to go Google this incredible website. So again, you can read, it was launched in 2009, 60 institutions, 20 countries. This is like a unity consciousness of a one Earth trying to track and see these black massive holes. So we're doing it, at least the researchers are. And then I'm going to just leave it here to just bring us back to this galactic idea of maybe what's spewing out in the center of our galaxy is this transmission of divine consciousness, that we do have help, that we do have support, that it's natural and it's part of an evolutionary curve in our human journey. Oh, I realize my face is still here. Okay, so 27 degrees Sagittarius, 9 minutes in 2022. Can you find where that is right now in your natal chart? Talking to those astrologers listening. So, go see what might be aspecting. How is it helping you, either with your Mercury communicating and getting that divine transmission? Especially, and Julia just mentioned this today, you could actually bring in, if there's some type of positive aspect to Mercury, let's say a conjunction, a sextile, a trine in transit, helping you say, take a moment, pause, and allow for divine consciousness to come through you. It's all part of who we are anyway. I like to look at us as little antenna. Here I am, one human, as a little antenna. And if I choose to open up myself to receive the broadcast, I can bring it in if I choose it. And if you do choose it, you'll be helping support humanity to evolve. We've come from 2012, 10 years later with the big shift. We're in 2022. We are still shifting. We will be shifting for some time in an effort according to the Sagittarian themes of evolution and expansion. Now, let me stop sharing for just a moment. That was a lot, but I can't let you go until I show you. Let's see. Do I have it up? No, I want to show. Let me pause for a moment. I'm going to go get the Event Horizon Center. So let me stop sharing. Be right back. Okay, here it comes. The Event Horizon Telescope. Here we are. If you Google eventhorizontelescope.org, this is what you're going to find. So, if you're a little nerdy, if you're a little bit inquisitive, if you like to understand the science behind the spirituality or vice versa, this is a great place to come and tune into what's going on. Again, it's like a one Earth telescope using 8 different radio observatories. Let's just check out. Oh, so here's the black hole. Again, they thought that they could get the image, but until they came up with a way, basically an algorithm, and waiting for the weather, the cosmic weather, to kind of subside so they could actually get this beautiful, that dark center around that clear donut, that light donut. Look at this. So they're talking about here, this first image is of M87. Yes, tracking the black holes started there. And its changing appearance is due to its variations in its environment. Oh, such as magnetic fields, how fast it spins, and how it tilts. Oh. There's a saying that the world is your oyster. That's really a good metaphor. But now I wonder, is the world now your supermassive black hole, and holding space that really equals an area of divine transmission for the greater good, going back into the great mother cosmic womb, the black hole from whence we first came. Well, that's all I got today. I'm going to go fly around with my little butterflies. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. I hope that I've helped inspire someone who's listening to really consider looking up at those beautiful heavens and finding out how you navigate within this galactic consciousness. Take care and see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye, everybody.